Welcome to the Leaders Lab, everybody. We thank God for you being with us on this Saturday afternoon, morning, afternoon, all that good stuff. Wherever you may be, we appreciate you joining us, and we are thankful for this month's session. And I'm excited about what we have in store for you. I hope that you are all well. I hope that you had a great week, I hope. And I pray that you are ready for a great weekend and a great Sunday tomorrow. But anyway, we want to get into our session this morning. And as folks are coming in, we want them to know we are dealing with the subject side by side. Teamwork is key. Teamwork is key. Side by side, it's important for us to understand that we need a team. And I saw a couple of quotes this morning, and I'm probably going to try to share them throughout the our time together. Um, but it's important for us to understand that we need to have a team. We need to be able to have people that work with us and support us, and then that we work with and support. I think it's kind of it's interesting how it's more mainly a two-way. It's a two-way street. It really is. I was sharing in the Leaders Lounge the other day, and I kind of deliberately coordinated it so that that subject would kind of lend itself to this particular session. I was talking the other day about how you got to have somebody that has your back, and as a leader, the people that are on your team and the people that you serve have to know that you have their back as well. Sometimes leadership can be a very one-sided deal where people feel like, well, the leader always wants everybody to support them, but then when the folks are going through a tough time or going through a crisis, they don't seem to feel the support from the leaders. So it's important to understand that a team works together to accomplish the goal, and it's not a one-sided thing. It's not about the leader's agenda. It's not about how what I want or what any other leader wants in particular, but it's about, okay, where are we trying to go and what are we trying to accomplish? And so I want us to kind of think for a moment about who we have on our team or whose team we are a part of. Um, and that's part of one of the good things about it is learning how to be a part of another team, be a part of working with some other leaders, working with some other people to accomplish the common goal. Many times we find ourselves, and I had a quote from Simon Sinek that I saw this morning said, "Failure we can do alone." It said, but success always takes help. Failure we can do alone, but success always takes help. And I thought it was interesting that that comes across my way this morning in particular. But we can do a lot of there's some things we can do alone. As the old African proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, take someone with you. In other words, go together. And so side by side, teamwork is key. Teamwork is key. And I want to, we got a little ground to cover, so I want to dive into um, our lesson this morning as we examine this and realize. I wanted to say this too. When we first did our self-care sessions at Spirit and Life back in 2020, during the pandemic, we started doing some things to help our members navigate through the mental and emotional and spiritual challenges of the pandemic. it developed into our self-care sessions. And I remember David Smith, who works with our men, the first one of the first things he talked to us about is who do we have on our bench? In other words, strengthening your bench, making sure you have people that can support. And we basically trying to figure out our support system. And we had to kind of look around and see, okay, who's really with me, who's hanging through this pandemic, this crisis with me, and do I have to strengthen my bench? Do I have to get some more support? And all of us need support. All of us need help. All of us need uh, to work with people that are going to be able to help us get where all of us need to go, not just where I'm getting myself, who's going to help me accomplish everything I want to accomplish, but who can we pull together to help us get where we all need to go. I've worked over the years in terms of leadership, and I've seen what damage can be done when the leader, it's all about them, where it's all about, okay, I'm trying to accomplish my individual uh, goals and aspirations, and you guys are just being used to get me where I want to go. But no, we have to have a common cause. So as we go through, we'll examine it. But as we look at our first slide, and we understand um, the critical nature of this. And whenever you want to talk about great leadership lessons and great teamwork lessons, it's always interesting to go to the book of Nehemiah. In Nehemiah chapter number 2, verse number 18, the Amplified, it says, "Then I told them how the hand of my God had been favorable to me, and also about the words that the king had spoken to me. And they said, 'Let us rise up and build.' So they thoroughly supported the good work." Of course, you know the story, but I'll just briefly talk to you about it. Nehemiah was in a part of the king's, you know, team, his entourage. He was the cupbearer, and he was working with Artaxerxes, I believe, and he was asking about what was going on with the people that were coming or had come out of captivity. They were going back. They had come out of Babylon, and now they were back home. And he was asking how people were doing. He was concerned about how's everything going with the return and the rebuilding process. And he got a report. Someone told him. They said it's bad. The walls are torn down. There's a lot of it's just a lot of destruction. Nobody had really cleaned up or straightened up the destruction. People are trying to rebuild their houses, rebuild their lives. They're trying to get back into it's a long process, recovering and trying to get back. And he was brokenhearted. He felt a burden for his people, and so he decided, and he was sad. He was, obviously dejected, but he's the king's cupbearer. So he has to be, or butler. And so he has to be in front of the king and the queen and serve them. And the king notices that he is upset and says, well, what's wrong with you? You've never been, uh, like this in front of me before. And he said, you're not sick, so what's going on with you? And of course he tells him, I'm grieved for my people back home. And the king says, well, what do you want to do? What do you want to do about it? He says, well, I'd like to be able to go back, take some men with me, take some lumber, take some materials with me to go back and rebuild the walls that we be no more reproach. Of course, the story is the king says, all right, let's go. I'm giving you a safe passage. I'm letting you be able to go through, even as you're going through other, city states and other towns. And he said, I will give you the authority to go back and to get the lumber and all these other things. Long story short, he gives him everything he needs to go home. But when he gets back home, he has to first go and inspect the damage. He has to go see what we got to realize what this job entails. And what he does is he goes at night. He doesn't alert everybody. He doesn't make a big announcement. He doesn't do a Facebook post. He doesn't go live from the wall. He just simply goes back home and starts going, inspecting the damage. And he has some men with him that are going to help him. He has people on his team. But as a great leader, what we just read was he says, you all see the same thing I'm seeing. You see the distress we're in. Now, and he told them, he said, listen, we got all this. The king has given me authority. The hand of God is on me. God is favoring us. He's given us what we need. The king is helping, is encouraged me to go and do it. And so they said, and once a leader really expresses what they cast the vision, then now the people said, in response to the king, excuse me, in response to the leader casting the vision, they said, let us rise up and build. Let's get together. And they thoroughly supported the good work. What I'm saying is there's a time where there are people that are going to be ready to rally around you when you're able to accurately, to clearly, I should say, articulate the vision. As we look at the next slide, it says this, and these are bullet points. But it's important for us to grasp the understanding that he just simply said, this is what's going on. Effective leaders galvanize their teams around causes and goals. Let me say that again. Effective leaders galvanize their teams around causes and goals. In other words, they bring people together, they rally them, and they get them to the place where somebody's unmuted, but anyway, they get them rallied behind a particular cause and a goal. Sometimes the leaders are trying to gather people around them, about that particular person, but it's more effective and it's going to accomplish a lot more when you're able to rally around a cause and a goal. Rally the team. So they galvanize. And that's what you see in that scripture was he galvanized the team. He got them ready. They were fired up and said, let us come and do it. Not, yeah, we're gonna help you do it. No, let us. We're gonna come together. We pull together to do what our assignment is, to fulfill our assignment. And as we go through the next one, it talks about what the leader can do is they have to be transparent. Leaders must be transparent. They have to be able to be a little vulnerable. You have to be able to say, you know what? I'm not, and many times we get into trouble as leaders when we act like we have all the answers. When we're like we know, oh, we got it together. Y'all just go on and support me. I already know what I'm doing. No, sometimes you got to say, look, we're in distress. That's what Nehemiah did. Nehemiah said, we're in distress. You see the distress that we're in. You see this situation. You know what we're dealing with. So let's, come together and see if we can fix this situation. And sometimes you got to be able to say, I don't know what to do next. I'm not sure how we should do this. I'm not sure what the right approach is. And what that will do is it will help the team to step up and be able to say, you know what? This is an idea I have. This is something that I've seen work. Or this is something that I think we can pull off. And then you'll find that the team is rallying around that cause and that vision because they bought into it. But many of us as leaders don't want to be transparent. We don't want to be. I don't want them to see me, in this particular light. I want to be. No, sometimes you got to be able to let them see you uh, unsure. Not saying that you got to be discouraged or you got to be scared, but let them see that I need help, and that's one of the things that leaders should be able to do is ask for help. That's one of the things. Another quote I saw from Simon Sinek said this morning said, "When we work on a trusting team, it says we feel safe to admit our mistakes, to be honest about our shortcomings, and ask for help when we need it. When we're on a trusting team, if you they'll buy in. They'll be like, oh, when you're transparent, saying, yeah, I've gone through a tough time too. I understand what that's like. And so these are things that help to pull the team together when the leader is able to say, I'm going to share my heart. I'm just going to tell you all how I feel. I'm going to tell you where I am. I'm going to tell you what I'm experiencing right now. Because now, if they can tell that you are like them, that hey, they're a little apprehensive, they're a little unsure, then now you're going to have a team that's going to support one another. All right. The next point is to be passionate about what you believe. Be passionate about what the work that you're doing. They can tell when you're passionate. They can tell when you are sincere. And so teams step up when leaders demonstrate genuine excitement about the assignment. Nehemiah said, "Look, I'm leaving. I'm taking a leave of absence from my job to come back here and help rebuild Jerusalem. I'm coming back to help do what I can because I care about this place." And when leaders sense that you really care, that you have genuine excitement about what you're doing, that's contagious. You see it time and time again in sports where, one person really gets fired up, one person really gets motivated, person really shows that they care. The other teammates jump around that and say, you know what, we're going to help. And sometimes the same goes for sometimes when the other person is struggling a bit. People rally around them. They say, hey, let's pick one another up. Part of the lesson the other day, I got your back, that we dealt with on Thursday, was the fact that Joab and Abishai, Joab told his brother, look, he said, if the Syrians are too strong for you, I'll come and help you. And if the enemy I'm fighting is too strong for me, you come and help me. But let's step up and help one another. Let's look out for one another. Let's become let's have one another's back. And when they sense that you have their back, when they sense that, hey, we're in this together, that's when the enemy doesn't stand a chance. That's when you're going to win. That's when you're going to accomplish the goals. So that's why it's letting them know very clearly in the text, look, hey, we've got to be passionate about this. And after that, we have to make sure that we are united, we pull together, that we come together around a common goal. When transparent and passionate, the leader's cause becomes the team's cause. In other words, what the leader felt passionate about, what Nehemiah felt passionate about, notice the people said, let us rise up and build. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get into this great work. It's now a team-wide cause. It's not just the leader's burden. And so many times, and many of us have seen this over the years, it's something the leader wants, but nobody else is behind it because the leader hasn't really shared why we're doing what we're doing. They haven't shared their heart. They're not passionate about it. They're not really, you know, excited about it. But there's something, I'm doing this, so I need you to help me do this. And the people were, that's what's significant about that verse we read. The people said, let's rise up and build. Let us do it. Let's go. And I found over the years that when I'm really transparent and I can clearly articulate why we're doing what we're doing, the people rally around and say, okay, Pastor, we got this. We're with you. Let's go. And they will take up and do everything. They won't just leave it all on the leader. But I've also seen the opposite happen where when the leader was basically all wrapped up in their own ego and their own agenda, the people said, we just gonna let you go ahead and do that then. We just gonna let you go ahead and do your thing. This is your thing. You go right ahead and do it. And of course, it doesn't really turn out the way the leader wanted, but it's because they're like, look, we're not buying into this. the late great Bishop Norman L. Wagner said, uh, he said, if you bring the people in early, they'll stay late. If you bring them into the project early, they will stay to the end of it. They'll stay throughout the whole process. The next slide, what we're saying is that it becomes important after you galvanize the team. You got to be transparent, be passionate, and be united. Watch this. And so, in the third chapter, and here's where they work side by side. Next to Eli, Elisheb, the men of Jericho built, and next to them Zakur, the son of Imri built. What do you say? Why are you mentioning this particular verse? Why did I put this? Because it showed you that they were united in their work. They were together. They were side by side. They were able, like, look, I have an assignment, but I'm working my assignment right next to you as you work your assignment. They had opposition. Many of you know they had people, Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem were coming to oppose the work. And so they had to tighten up their ranks. They had to make sure they were in close proximity to each other, even though they were working on different areas of the wall. They weren't all just working in the same spot. They had different areas, but they worked together. They worked side by side. They pulled together, and they had to be able to defend. They had to be able to, they would have a signal. They'd hear a trumpet sound, and they knew how to retreat, pull back together to make sure that we're defending those that want to sabotage the process. Y'all didn't catch that. You didn't hear me. You didn't hear me. You didn't hear me. There are people that whenever you're trying to do something, there's going to be opposition. There's going to be people that talk about it. There are some people on your in your group that no matter what you're doing, they're going to have something negative to say. There are some people that are always negative. There are some people that are always critical. And sometimes maybe even that's just part of their personality. And sometimes the enemy will use people to kind of hinder the work. And so it was the same case with Nehemiah. He said, Sanballat and Tobiah were talking about, what are you guys planning on doing? That wall is so weak. If a fox walks up on it, it's going to crumble that wall down. What you going to try to do? You going to try to overthrow the king? What do they were just, and you all have heard it. You've heard people. I don't even understand I don't get it. I don't get it. Lord knows I've heard. Lord help us. I have heard some things for the last 4 months or so, but there are things that you hear, and you have to be able to stay focused on the assignment. Watch this next slide. It says, after he said they worked and one of the things that David Ortiz, the Big Poppy, uh, great former baseball player, the Red Sox in particular. But he gave a quote where he said he was telling people the Dodgers, the back-to-back world champion Los Angeles Dodgers, ladies and gentlemen, he said their secret sauce is ego-free superstar chemistry. As many great future Hall of Fame players as they have. They have arguably the best player, not arguably, just the best player in baseball in Shohei Ohtani. They got Mookie Betts. They won championships, Freddie Freeman, on down the line. And they keep getting more great players to come. You know why? Because they have superstar, ego-free chemistry. What does that mean? That means I am great at what I do, but I'm locked in to helping the team win. I'm not forcing my agenda. And all of us have faced it where we've seen people that had their particular way of doing things, their particular calling, and their particular agenda. Famously, when they were recording the "We Are the World" song, and they did it after, I believe, the Grammys or the American Music Awards that particular year, 1985, I believe it was. And as they were coming together, Quincy Jones had put outside the studio. Check your ego at the door. Check in other words, don't come in here being no diva. Don't come in here thinking you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. Just come in here, put your ego, put your agenda aside, and let's work together to make this thing happen. And that's what happened. And many times, the reason you say, well, I don't know why people want to play for the Dodgers, because they have created an environment where people thrive and they feel that this team is a family. This team is united. This team, they care about one another. And that's the kind of environment you want to cultivate in whatever team you're leading. Watch this. It says, that's the secret sauce. Well, I don't know why everybody want to sign with them, because it's ego-free superstar chemistry. And that's something that we need to learn how to cultivate on our teams and with the people that we lead. It's not about the superstar. And that's why, even as leaders, we have to learn how to humble ourselves. We have to learn how to take a back seat. We have to know when to step up and then know when to say, you know what, let's let them do it. Uh, Anything that you got to sit there, I'm going to do all of this stuff. No, it's not about you doing it. It's about the team. It's about making sure that the cause becomes the main thing, the goal, what we're trying to accomplish. It's one thing. I can sit up and say and make a whole lot of demands, and I want this and I want that. But that doesn't cultivate the right kind of environment, and we won't succeed. And no matter how wonderful we are, we won't succeed. Successful teams find ways to work together. They find ways to work together. And also, it's sometimes you got to be able to say, I need some help. Do not focus on egos. Teams thrive when egos and agendas are set aside. I've always wanted. Listen. This is we're trying. We're doing this here. This is what we're doing now. Well, and sometimes you can see people that aren't good teammates. They come in, they're laser focused on their agenda. They're laser focused on doing what they want to do. They're laser focused on, I've always, this is my dream. I want my dream fulfilled. And this is the framework. I can't tell you how many times over the 35 years that I've been pastoring that I've had somebody, I've seen people come in, they got all this enthusiasm and they see, okay, what we're doing. And then they're like, okay, I came in here. This is a great place for me to shine. How many times have I seen sports teams that had a collection of great players, but they didn't win anything? They never won. I can't believe that team couldn't win a championship because they could not play together. Everybody was doing their own thing. Do not focus on egos. Teams thrive when egos and agendas are set aside. Do focus on team goals instead of individual accomplishments. Um, One of the things that has been interesting about the Lakers this season is and they're primed to go into the playoffs, probably be 3 or 4 seed in the West. But the thing that was interesting, they've had injuries. Right now, they're dealing with two of their best players. The best player and the other, one of the other best players are, injured. They got injured around at the same time, basically, near the end of the year right now. I think the last game is tomorrow. And so they have had to, for the start of the year, LeBron wasn't playing. So it's like, they haven't had a chance. And then finally, when they get the chance to work together, they are doing extremely well. And then here injuries hit us again. So then now what happens? Okay, LeBron has to step back into a role that where he's the lead dog, where he's the main guy. And you see them still winning because the rest of the players are rallying around saying, look, let's keep winning. Let's do what we got to do to finish this season strong. and to go into the playoffs with the right mindset until the star players can come back. And that's what teams do. There's going to be things that happen along the way, but you rally. But when you're ego driven, it's like, well, I ain't getting my shots. I'm not getting my points. I didn't get a chance to preach. I didn't get a chance to lead. I should have done that session. I don't know why they always get a chance to be up front. I can't understand why. I don't know why Bishop don't get it that I am called and anointed and gifted. He won't let me. How does this? And one of the things that helped me over the years was I was always focused on what's best for everybody. Sis, you singing that solo is not best for anybody. You you leading that song, that's not good for anybody, right? That's not going to help the people that are in the building, the people that are watching, the people where how does this advance the kingdom? And Lord knows that I'm not messing with anybody, but we just had like an extravaganza last week in churches all over the country. And we we saw folks on crosses falling all over the place. We saw plays, we saw pageants, we saw a lot of stuff. But now, how does that advance the kingdom? I saw something Bishop Sean Tyson was talking about, and he showed a picture. He said that they didn't focus on who was preaching in that picture. I was showing the audience. He showed the audience. He said because at Mount Calvary we focus on it's not about who's preaching, it's about who's going to exalt Jesus. In other words, because we really want you not to come to hear the preacher, to come to hear about Jesus Christ. And that, in other words, our real focus is not can we show off? It's not putting on a good show. Amen. Lights. It's not putting a good, something where we get a lot of praise. Oh, that performance was amazing. Oh, that no. Can we point people to Jesus? What's the agenda? We did a whole session on smoke and mirrors, but anyway, let's go. So do focus on the team goals. What are we trying to accomplish? Where not instead of those individual accomplishments. What I found is the individual accomplishments will come too, but and so then it says in Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 6, so built we the wall, and the entire wall was joined together to half its height, for the people had a heart to work. They had, and the King James said they had a mind to work. This was, we got to do this job. People have rallied. They've been galvanized. Now they're pulling in, doing the work, and they're working together to get the goal accomplished. Unified teams overcome challenges. As I said earlier, they had a challenge where people were trying to get them to come off the wall. They're trying to get them to stop the work. There's always setbacks. There's always, opportunities for you. Well, I got something else I'm going to do. And I'm no, I'm tired. And he said, look, they worked almost round the clock. They would, they worked in shifts. They would have people come in, and then they said and Nehemiah had to stay focused because Sanballat, Tobiah, they said, okay, let's have a meeting. Let's come together and talk about what's. He said, I'm doing a great work. I can't come down and talk to you. Why should the work, watch this, why should the work drag while I talk to you? Why should the work be hindered while I'm talking to you? Watch this. Effective leaders help teams ignore the noise and distractions. He said, I'm doing a great work. I don't have time. And you got to learn how to understand I don't have time for everything. I don't, I can't be distracted. I can't listen to all the critics. I can't answer every issue that somebody has. I'm doing a great work and I can't. Why should the work be hindered while I come down and talk to you? United teams focus on unity. So team members cover, support, and encourage one another. They have to stay locked in. We have to lock in. Unified leaders and teams understand that when one succeeds, all succeed. We do this together. We all win when one of us succeeds, when one of us, that's why it's so important. You see people winning awards and you realize they're like, look, I couldn't have made it without all of these folks that supported me and that came and helped and rallied and made it happen. You have to tell, and you have to be able to tell people, look, I appreciate how you have helped me get where I want to go. And it's funny how a lot of times on the best teams and best circumstances, when they see one person up there, they feel like, yeah, we all won. Uh, as much as I contributed to my children graduate from university, when they graduate, I'm like, yeah, we made it. we we did it, because like, look, But anyway, it's important for us to keep, let's get through here because I want to get some time for your comments. In summary, effective leaders galvanize their teams. Successful teams find ways to work together. And unified teams overcome challenges. Let me say that again. Effective leaders galvanize their teams. Successful teams find ways to work together. Unified teams overcome challenges. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. And we got some time now for comments, questions, and all that good stuff.